Yo guys, welcome back to the Touchliner podcast, episode 15. Today, Hussein is a bum, so he's not here. But we've got an even better co-host here, Charlie Fairbank. He's back. How are you doing today?
Yeah, mate, pretty good, pretty good. Obviously, this is the day after a particular quarterfinal result, which has not been too kind on myself. But yeah, all good, all good.
Allez les bleus. So how we're gonna do it? How we're gonna do it is we're gonna go through each game. So we'll go through the first two, talk about that semi, and then the next two, talk about that semi. And yeah, let's just get into it. So the first game, shock straight away. Croatia draw 1-1 with Brazil after extra time. Win on pens. I mean, I didn't expect that. I think my favorites were Brazil. Did you think Brazil were going to win the whole thing?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, you would have thought that with the team Brazil's got, all the bookies were saying Brazil, they're the favourites over Argentina. Although Argentina did win Copa America most
Mm.
recently. I mean, coming into the tournament, you've got players like Paqueta coming in. Richarlison was on form at Spurs, getting a few goals here and there. Rafinha's just gone to Barcelona. They had a really good team coming into this, so
Mhm.
real shock. And I think not many, if any, Brazilians actually thought they would go out at this stage. I mean, I read a few, well, I read a few, watched a few videos with some South American journalists saying if we don't make it to the semis, it's regarded as a failure,
Mm.
and it's a huge failure, going out to Croatia. But I think, yeah, it's a huge shock. Not actually, not as I mean, of a tournament where we've had so many,
Yeah.
shocks,
No,
even in the stage and in the quarters. So
it's true. I mean, in the context of the tournament, it's not a shock. But I mean, looking if people looking back on this in a few years, it will be because the team that Brazil went in with, like you said, they did have world class players and the depth of the team as well. Like to have people like Martinelli, Anthony, people like that on the bench. Jesus before he got injured.
mm,
Even in midfield, you had Guimaraes, who's that Newcastle team that's doing so well. To not have, there's no other word, the bottle to see the game out against Croatia. You're 1-0 up, and you concede 3 minutes from time at the end of extra time. It's very
mm,
disappointing with their only shot on target. It was a dagger. Like, I remember watching it, I didn't see that coming. Like, Croatia,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, after Brazil scored in the second half of extra time, they kind of stopped trying to score a bit more, which is fair. I think Anthony was getting forwards, but that was it. But for Croatia to be that clinical and doing what they do best as well, going to pens and winning,
mm.
they always
I
do that.
think I think the experience that they got from 2018, getting to the final definitely helped. Brazil, I think they got knocked out in the quarters in 2014, and then obviously that semi-final in 2014. Sorry, they got to the quarters in 2018
Mm.
in Russia. But if you look at, as you said, some of the players in the team, Paqueta, Rafinha, even Richarlison, what have they achieved in the game? Like, yes, they're good players,
Mm.
and together they make a good squad, but they're not like serial winners. Okay, you've got Neymar, you've got Thiago Silva, you've got Casemiro, but if you look at the forward players, aside from Neymar that they had, they didn't have that much kind of big match experience. So I mean, yeah, hats off to Croatia. Obviously, their midfield kind of locked it down, but I think standout Livakovic, their keeper. I thought what was it, 11
Amazing.
saves
Yeah.
in extra
Well, 10
time?
saves, but amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I think he made a few in the penalty. I think he made one in the shootout as well, straight from the off. That's going to be one of the best goalkeeper performances in the knockouts that we might have ever seen. So, you know, and he's pretty much just carried them through to back-to-back semi-finals for them, the first time ever. So,
It's unbelievable, honestly. And they earned it. I don't think that anyone's gonna sit here and say it was. Well, would it be a smash and grab? The thing is, Croatia never looked out of the game. Like, yeah,
mm,
it was the first shot on target, but you have to remember this team is solid everywhere except up front.
yeah,
If they had Mandzukic in this team, I think it would have been done before because it is a young Brazil team. Neymar. I mean, he said it was his last World Cup. Now he's backtracking on it. Will we see him again? I do like the role he took up in this Brazil team, that free role, that Messi role sort of. He did well. That goal that Brazil scored was beautiful. That was Jogo Bonito. But they only did it once. They only managed to pull it off once. And like you said, no serial winners. It's cost them. And Brazil are out. Croatia are through. That was the first game. We were all shocked. And then the next game, arguably, I think, one of the World Cup greats. This has to go down as one of the great knockout games. Netherlands 2, Argentina 2. Argentina win on penalties. But Argentina being 2-1 up, 2-0 up with 7 minutes of normal time to play, and Argentina conceding to Weghorst twice, including one in the 111th minute, 11th minute of added time. Well, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, for a Burnley striker who scored only twice last season in its entirety at Burnley in the Premier League, to come on against, one of the better defences in the tournament, I think. If you take out the Saudi Arabia game, going into it, they kept a lot of clean sheets. Obviously, as we said, they'd won Copa America, they'd done very well, in internationals. To then concede to Weghorst was just mesmerising. I think the best thing about it was, if you saw the second goal, it's the 10th minute of added time. You're about to go out, and you've got, I think it was Gakpo behind it, young mind, and he just plays this simple pass into Weghorst. None of the Argentina defence are even watching. They're just worried about the shot. Plays it in, great finish, 2-2. But yeah, it was a very heated game. I think there were 13 yellow cards.
I think so. Something like that.
Something like that.
14 yellow cards.
14,
14.
even more. So it was a really fiery encounter. I think one that not a lot of us saw coming. I think with the referees that we've seen, obviously the England game was last night. There are a few arguable fouls there, but this had everything. Late winner, screamers, wonderful advert for the game.
It's true. No, definitely. I mean, that free kick was a masterstroke, and to bring on Weghorst, right? Came off the bench, right? To bring him on for him to score 2 goals like that, it did feel like the tide was turning to the Netherlands, and they would find a way through. But Argentina stayed firm in extra time, held on, and they got to penalties. And we forgot how good Emi Martinez is at saving these pens, or how good he is at taunting the other team. He knows what he's doing. The Copa America, we have to remember how good he was, even at Villa. How good he is at saving pens, or even just going the right way. He does his homework, and that's one of the most important things. That's why in the last round I was really irritated at Japan, because they made it that far and they clearly just didn't prepare for penalties. Every team's got to prepare for them. Netherlands came close. I was really, really happy when Van Dijk missed. I was so happy. You have no idea. He puts himself first. I'm the captain. Yeah, miss, man. But
then you could argue that Neymar not putting himself first and not getting the chance to take one's equally even worse.
That's true. That's one thing. I forgot to say that actually. Why? Back to the Brazil game. Why would you not put your best players? What do you think about this? Putting your best players last for the glory. Put them first so you can score and get a better advantage in the shootout.
I think putting your best player first, get an early goal in the shootout, just kind of calms the nerves. I think who was it first? It was Rodrigo. Who's barely doesn't even really start for Real Madrid this season. He's in and out of the side. To put him on penalties, really? Bit questionable there. But yeah, going back to the Netherlands game. I mean, Van Dijk scored penalties in shootouts for Liverpool. Obviously, he's done well for the Netherlands as well. So you'd back him to kind of step up and maybe deliver. But I guess maybe not on this occasion. What I was going to say actually just earlier, I think the late goal that the Netherlands scored. I mean, as you said, the tide was turning. I actually think the opposite happened. I think as soon as the goal went in and it went to extra time, they were like, okay, well, what the hell? Like, we didn't expect to play another half hour, whereas Argentina were like just coping, just sitting back, and they dominate. Argentina dominated extra time. The Netherlands didn't really get a chance in. So yeah, it was a really interesting tactical battle. I think you got to praise Van Gaal as well. Obviously you have history of him at Manchester
United
United.
legend. Legend. Strong word.
But but I think he did a really good job in making those tactical changes to really, get the big man on as such.
No, I think so. That was bold to bring two of them on at the same time. It worked a treat in the end.
Exactly.
But it was a good last game for his career, I think. It sums all up about Van Gaal. I mean, at least the latter stages. At the beginning, he was very successful. In the end, he tried... It was the Fellaini tactic, what he did. I had a flashback to my United days there. He brought on the tall guy. The tall guy almost saved the game, but it wasn't enough. Really heated, though. The fights were entertaining between the two. Dumfries getting sent off after penalties. Argentina taunting them after they won. This is the fire that's been missing from football, I mean, I don't want to sound old-fashioned, but like everyone being friends and all is great, but you miss a bit of this. Some of that pushing, that shoving. Come on.
I think the ref kind of played into it a bit because, he kind of lost control of the game in the second half of normal time. I think, there was a big kind of brawl. I think just before or like 2-1. Something like that. So I guess that.
Yeah, because I think Paredes kicked the ball at the bench, didn't he? And that kicked everything off. That was hilarious. But they don't like each other. They haven't liked each other for like 50 years. Yeah. It was always going to be a classic.
Yeah. There's history there.
It's true. And Messi is through to a semi-final for the second time in his career. So that sets it up for Croatia versus Argentina. What do you think will happen in that game?
Well, funnily enough, the last time these two sides actually played, Croatia came out 3-0 winners in 2018, which is obviously 4 years ago, under a worse manager with worse players. But I think the mentality there might come into Croatia's favour. But I still think I think since the 2018 World Cup, Argentina are a whole different team. I think they've revolutionised. They've got a better defence, more solid, working from the back. Emi Martinez, as you said, in the form of his life, especially at this tournament, and for Argentina. So it's going to be an interesting encounter. If Croatia could get it to extra time and penalties, well, we all know what's going to happen there, and it's the win for Croatia.
I really hope not. I really hope not. I really hope that Argentina have enough to overcome Croatia in normal time, and I think they do. They've been missing that clinical striker all tournament. Lautaro Martinez was meant to be that guy, but I don't know what's happened to him this tournament. Hopefully him scoring in the shootout does something for his confidence, because he's just not been it up front. They've had to rely on Julian Alvarez a little bit. You can't do that. His first World Cup, he's young, he's only just joined Man City. You can't put it all on Messi's shoulders. You need someone else. Argentinian striker needs to step up. Higuain let him down in 2014. You can't have another episode like that.
Yeah, well, I think the difference is, especially between Alvarez and Martinez, that Julian Alvarez has been training with Haaland, one of the best strikers, in the world right now, and Martinez has been stinking it up with Lukaku. So that's the difference, really. Alvarez has been able to learn from the best, and Martinez is just getting dragged down by one of the worst. So,
that is true. That Lukaku disaster class was something quite beautiful. If you're not Belgian.
On the history books.
But it's a good point. The Inter strikers have been stinking it up, but I think Argentina just edge it. Could go to extra time, but I think it'll only be like a 1-goal margin. What's your prediction for that?
Yeah.
Same?
Definitely. Something like that.
Alright. Now, moving on to the shock of the quarterfinals by far. Morocco 1, Portugal 0. What a story. Honestly, what a story. This Moroccan team. The first African team to reach a semi-final. The first Arab team to reach a semi-final of a World Cup. This team has heart like I haven't seen probably since Ghana in 2010. Like, this is well deserved. It was everything football was about, and it wasn't smash and grab. It wasn't uneven. It wasn't against the run of play. They deserved to win. It was a close game, but they deserved to win. I know you watched it. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, on paper, you'd say, yeah, that's a shock. But if you look at the Moroccan defense, how they're set up, how disciplined they are, how tactically prepared they are in comparison to Portugal, who may be coming into the game with a bit more, almost too much confidence after beating Switzerland 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
And the Moroccans have fought since the first minute in all of their games. So I wouldn't really say, if you look at it, with the feeling of it, it's maybe not that much of a shock, but definitely one that I wouldn't have predicted.
Mm-mm. No.
Um, you know, you look at how I think they've only conceded one goal in the whole tournament, and it
Yep.
was an own goal. So no team has been able to beat their defense. So in their midfield, and as I said, well disciplined. I think the Ronaldo tears at the end did bring some happy feelings into my eyes after the goals he scored against England, Chelsea. So it's a really good sight for that. Um, but no, I think Portugal probably should have gone through. I think they've got the quality in their side to do so. You look at Bruno Fernandes, who obviously I'm not really his biggest fan, but I think that he's had a really good tournament. And I think because of that, he's deserved, maybe a bit more. He's been one of their key players. I think he got, what, 5, 6 goal contributions across the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But, you got to say fair play to Morocco, as you said. First African nation to reach a semi-final. History makers, their kind of place in football history is like forever set in stone. First African team into a semi-final, and this is what we love about the World Cup. This is what we love about football: is that no matter what team, what quality, what tactics, anyone can pull off the unthinkable. So yeah, fair play to Morocco.
Fully, fully. I think similar to Brazil. I think winning that last of 16 game got to their heads. They won. Both of them won by such a big margin. Clearly, Portugal came into this kind of expecting to win. Wasn't good. Especially like you said against this Moroccan team that's so disciplined in defense, and that midfielder Amrabat, he's having insane tournament. It's no surprise his agent is saying that there are offers at the door. He has been controlling games, ushering the ball out when he's under pressure, with little to no drama. This is what you want from a midfielder. I think he plays for Fiorentina. I think a Premier League move looks on the cards. I think a few clubs there were interested. I think Villa was one of them. Seems like a Villa signing to me. But anyway.
It's an easy January signing.
It is.
It's an easy World Cup signing.
Yeah, honestly. I think
Players from the best team.
it's probably going to happen. But that header from Messi'S, I think some of the fault of that has to go to Diogo Costa. Not been a good tournament for him. We've been linked with him, and this tournament has not filled me with confidence.
Yeah. I think the best thing about it is that En-Nesyri has been really struggling at Sevilla, and to be fair, Sevilla have been struggling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Emery just leaving them to go to Aston Villa. And again, it's just one of those things that you just can't write. Striker that can't buy a goal in the league turns up for his country with a match winner. It's just brilliant.
It's true. I mean, the way he leapt, everyone was saying it's Ronaldo-esque. It was. He leapt to the heavens to reach that ball, and you could see the keeper kind of like went too late. It's a difference between the heart and the courage and the little bit of anxiety that the keeper had. Well deserved, and they defended that goal. It was a Mourinho-style win. It's classic, Exactly, because they did keep trying to score on the break, but that striker, number 21, Shadira, he's crap. I'm sorry. Even in the last game, in the last episode, I was saying this to Hussein. He's crap. He missed a big chance in this game where he was through. In the last game, he missed 3 big chances, and in this game, he got sent off. He came off the bench and he got sent off. I just need to I just need to throw in some Chidera abuse. That was horrible. But yeah, I'm gutted for Bruno Fernandes. Amazing tournament from him. I've enjoyed watching him play. People are finally seeing how good he can be. But Ramos was not on it. Felix, I don't know what Felix is. Is he a striker? Is he a winger? Is he a 10? He's good.
He's not good enough.
It's true.
You look at, as you said, Bruno Fernandes has been carrying the team And I think in the next stage of this season, especially with Ronaldo leaving Manchester United, you're really going to see Fernandes come into it. So I'm not expecting big things. I really hope he doesn't do big things, but he could be certainly one to watch as the Premier League returns now that he's out of the tournament. So yeah,
I think he's got something to prove, definitely. But he played amazing tournament, 5 goal involvements, let down by the team. But that's Morocco into the semi. Oh, we have to talk about one of Morocco's best players, Chelsea, right winger, maestro, skillful winger, hard worker, Hakim Ziyech.
the less said about him, the better. No, I think in the teams such as Morocco that aren't really standout players, I think they all buy into the philosophy, Ziyech included, which I'm a bit surprised about seeing how he's performed under previous managers. But anyway, fair play to him. But yeah, the current manager has really kind of built a team, instilled kind of, as we've said, discipline, hard work, and I think he's really committed to the cause. So fair enough. If he could show that at Chelsea, well, if you just go half of what he's shown, I think we've got a really good player on our hands. But yeah, I'm a bit hesitant. So, but yeah, no, fair play to him and to Morocco as well.
Yeah, I mean, either it brings that over to Chelsea or you get a transfer, so it's a win-win.
It's either way. Yeah, exactly.
It's true. But now, moving on to the final quarterfinal. We're pretty much 24 hours on from recovering from this result, but England won, France 2. Charlie, the Englishman. Let me know what you think about that.
Well, I mean, for any English people actually watching, I would say that that result is almost kind of a bit of not a shock, but I think many expected better things. I think there were a lot of positives from the game. One of those not being the referee, who made some very questionable calls across the entire period of the game. If you look at the foul on Saka in the lead up to Tuchemani's goal, which take nothing away from it, was an absolute screamer. And then you had a few dubious calls in the box, around the box. Obviously, yes, we did get 2 penalties, but the fact that one of them wasn't even originally given, and the other one was so stone cold that I think Stevie Wonder Kid had given it as a penalty. It really does sum it up, really. But I mean, I'm proud of England. I think across the tournament we've really shown ourselves and shown the world what we can do. I think a lot of people. I mean, obviously France had a fantastic game. It was a match quite a close match between 2 really, I guess one quite streetwise team in France. They know how to win. They've done it before, reigning champions, and a team who's, I guess, almost built on hope in England. We have nothing to show for it in the last few years. Yes, we've got to semi-finals. Yes, we've got to finals, but we've got nothing to show for it. So I thought it was quite a close encounter. Obviously gutted to be out of the tournament. And yeah.
I mean, I always want England to do well. I'm not English, but I've always wanted England to do well because the team I support is in that country. There's always a lot of United players there. And I honestly, as soon as France scored, I thought, well, England are up against it here. But France didn't keep going the way I thought they would, And it was a close game, but I think England, on the run of play, should have created more chances and should have won this game. It's not a shock that France won, but for England to get their 2 main chances off penalties, it's more chances need to be created. There was one chance that Saka was in the box, he got tackled away. The Maguire chance at the end was close as well, but these half chances is not enough. And with this team, I feel like England should be doing better. I've never rated Southgate. I think 2018 was great. It was a vibes World Cup. It was just good vibe. Bit like Solskjaer, just like vibes, man. Let's go. But vibes reaches a certain point. You've got England's golden generation here. Like, forget Lampard and Gerrard and all that. This is it. You've got Bellingham, who could is already one of the best midfielders in the world. He could be the best. You've got Rashford coming into his prime. You've got Saka coming into his prime. You've even got Mason Mount, who, yeah, he didn't have a great tournament, but you see him at Chelsea. He's capable of a lot more. Jordan Henderson needs to get out. I mean, he had a good game yesterday. I need to stop this agenda for like 10 seconds. He played well yesterday. Good progressive passes into the final third, but overall, I don't think he's done enough to start these kind of games. I do think he should have brought Rashford on earlier yesterday, though. England's joint top scorer, him running at that French defence, I think England needed that because that gives you chances, whether he creates them for himself or for his teammates. But they were lacking something, and you bring on Rashford with 5 minutes to go, and you bring on Grealish with 1 minute left in added time. What are these subs?
I think my main criticism of Southgate is that he's rather reactive rather than proactive. Like, when Kane scored his first penalty, well, only penalty, in the match, that's the perfect opportunity to really go at them. You've got the momentum, you've got the confidence, you can score against them, and they're going to be expecting something, and that never came. It never came. He should have brought on Rashford a lot earlier. He should have brought on Grealish a lot earlier. And all these changes were done as a reaction to going 2-1 down. So that's my one criticism with him. And we've seen that in the Euros. We saw it even in 2018, actually, against Croatia. Bringing on Henderson and all of this. So, yeah, that's my main criticism with him. And obviously I mentioned Harry Kane's penalty. Obviously he missed the second one. I think it's really tough because I think we played not a perfect game, but you could clearly see that the mentality and the tactics and the timing of those tactics just weren't right for the game because I think everyone had a class game. I'd say that Declan Rice was easily England's best player on the pitch. Foden was quite quiet. Saka was good on, really good on the ball. One of our kind of main attacking threats. And obviously Kane missed the penalty. You'd back him to score. I think that's the one thing everyone was just like head in hands moment. You back him to score. Top scorer. Well, equal top scorer now. He would have been England's all-time top scorer. Maybe that got in his head, I don't know, but you'd back him to score. But if there's ever a player who's going to bounce back from that, it would be him.
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully 2024 Germany, Tuchel in charge, better players.
Yeah, you know what? If Tuchel comes in charge, I think England got a good chance because with these players, you need a manager that is top class. And Southgate, he's done well. I'm not going to say he's been horrible. I mean, he's done well. He's done well to bring the squad morale up, which it was non-existent if you listen to any of the old players from the previous generation.
I think the main positives about Southgate is when you look at previous tournaments. 2014 out in the groups, 2016 lost to Iceland, embarrassing, and then he comes in breath of fresh air. He'd managed kind of the under 21s and here and there in the Premier League and in the Championship, and I think he was almost a perfect replacement at that time for where we were as a nation. Confidence was at an all-time low. The players were kind of going on. Obviously, Lampard had retired, Gerrard had retired, Rooney was retiring, and we needed someone to a fresh manager to bring in a fresh mentality. But I think it's the end of the road for him. I think the team needs a winner, and I don't think Southgate is a winner. Well, what's he won? We've got a squad of really young players, as you said, Bellingham, Saka, Foden, Rice, fantastic players. And then you've got more coming in, obviously Ben White didn't play much in the tournament, but
Tomori should have been picked.
Guy Tomori as well. You've got some really good young talent coming in who are going to develop their career and become, some of the best in the world. Now is the perfect time to install a manager who can win things. And if it's not Tuchel, Hansi Flick, he's just left Germany. Whether we would appoint him or not, I don't know. Luis Enrique, he's just left Spain. Whether we'd appoint him as well. So you even got Tite if you really want to go there. But I'd say it's a kind of the end of the road for him. But I think this team, we're not near our peak. I think that's one thing. I guess the only kind of question mark is, Harry Kane, what's he like, 29, 30? Who's gonna play up front for England in the next few years? Could it be Rashford? Could he step up? Or might he even be, a wild card like Tammy Abraham, Ivan Toney, Callum Wilson? There's a lot of interesting decisions which are going to be made in terms of England over the next few seasons. So, I think the major tournament could be on its way. The major the trophy, whether it's the World Cup, I don't know. But I think there's a lot of positives to take from the tournament.
No, I think so as well. It's a similar story with England. It's so close yet so far, but this time felt like you deserved to get further. It wasn't like I heard Gary Neville talking about it. We got close, but it was from holding on in extra time. This team deserved to win or draw at least, but missing that final touch. The players, whether it be their inexperience, the manager's inexperience, the referee, who I think was shocking, absolutely a horrible performance.
I remember tweeting out, I think after like the second or third of that foul, saying this guy is worse than Avrebo. So
he was really bad.
Yeah, I think it's tough because this was the game that if we won, I'd have confidence in taking any other team in the tournament. Brazil, Argentina, Croatia, Morocco. I think we could have beat them, and I think France will go into their semi-final against Morocco saying we can win this thing. We can do it back to back, because I'd say that England game, you can just tell by the French reaction, the mentality, how they were playing, England as well, that this was the game. This was it. If we win this, then any hiccups aside, we should be able to win the whole thing. And I think France will be thinking that probably Argentina in the final by the looks of it. But although you got to get past Morocco. Not a lot of people expected them to beat Portugal. They topped their group. Not a lot of people expected them to top the group.
They topped the group.
So,
undefeated.
Undefeated, mate. One goal conceded. Most clean sheets in the tournament. It isn't going to be easy.
No, it's really not. It's really not. And I would give my left leg to see Morocco beat France in that semi-final. But I do think France win that. I think France beat Morocco, and it will be an Argentina-France final. But one more thing about France against England, right? Me, Hussein, and Ben have this thing, right? Me and Ben would rather have Harry Kane on our team than Mbappe. Hussein would rather have Mbappe than Harry Kane. What do you think?
I would agree, and I understand where you're coming from. I would say that Harry Kane is more to England than Mbappe does to France, because if you look at the team, yes, he's the goal scorer, yes, he's the winger, but he didn't actually do much in the game. Antoine Griezmann got both of the assists.
Mm-hmm.
Both the assists. Dembele was tearing up Luke Shaw like there was absolutely nothing there. Giroud getting the header to win the match. Yes, Mbappe is the star. He's the talented one. He's the one who's everyone expects is going to do things. But especially against the big teams, I think that's the quality of this France side, is that you can put Mbappe in the penitentiary. You can lock him up. He can do absolutely nothing in the game, and you still lose. Because you got Giroud, you got Griezmann, you got Dembele, you got Tuchemi, you got all these world-class players who, they don't need someone like Mbappe. I think that's the thing. That's why they're such a good nation, and that's why, in fairness, I'd say that they are probably the side to beat in this tournament.
No, I agree with that. I think Mbappe was kept quiet, fair enough. But like you said, Luke, I foresaw this. Dembele was going to tear Luke Shaw to shreds, because Luke Shaw can't defend. Like, he's good at crossing set pieces, bringing the ball forward, what do you call it, progressive carries, but he can't defend. You put a right winger that knows how to dribble at him, it's done. That's why we played Malacia against Liverpool earlier this season. He can't do it, but yeah. So you'd have Kane instead of Mbappe in your team for Chelsea if you could sign one, or would you have Mbappe?
If we're thinking Chelsea, I wouldn't go for Kane, with the Spurs relations, but that's a completely different story.
Do you'd pick Mbappe?
No, I'd go Kane because we definitely need a striker. We definitely
There you go.
That buy goals at the moment.
Exactly, because after the game, Hussein was saying, "Oh look, Kane didn't show up again," and me and Ben were like, "Where? Mbappe wasn't even there. Kane scored. Mbappe didn't do anything." But yeah, Griezmann played really well though. I think he's gone under the radar this World Cup as well.
100%.
He's excelled in 3 different roles for France over the years now. He was a goal scorer, he was a winger, now he's in this sort of 10 free role, which is...
Well, he's currently on his 71st consecutive game for France. It tells you how crucial he is to their success, so...
No, he's carried it on. He's always been good for France. Up and down for club, but always good for France. But yeah, that being said... Just to clarify, who do you think is going to win the whole thing?
Personally, I think the world, Qatar, deserves a Morocco-Croatia final. I think it would just be pinnacle of football. We haven't had a first-time winner since maybe
2010.
A long time.
2010.
Right? Oh yeah, Spain. Yeah. 2010. Okay, 12 years. But you can argue that Spain team was one of the best.
That was.
If we get, could you imagine, the career that Luka Modric has had? He's played the most minutes of any player over the age of 35 this tournament. He played the most minutes of any player in 2018, and they got to the final. For him, I think he deserves a World Cup.
More than Messi?
That's an interesting question. If you look at his performances last time, yeah, why not? Okay. Luka Modric he's a fine wine. He would never get the credit he deserves, and I think that's one of my greatest sadnesses. It's just all these kind of, less flashy players, Giroud, Modric, and many others out there. See, I can't even remember them. That's why they're not even flashy. And they just don't get the credit they deserve because someone else takes the headlines. You look at, for example, you talked about Messi, you look at Enzo Fernandez in that team, you look at Marcos Acuna, who've done really well this tournament, again, under the radar. Again, in France, you got Griezmann, you got Giroud, but everyone talks about Mbappe, so, it'll be interesting to see who can win, because I think genuinely, don't rule out a Morocco-Croatia final.
You can't. No, you can't.
Morocco have only conceded 1 goal. Croatia have won. They haven't lost what was it? They haven't lost a knockout game. But aside from the final, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, this World Cup, you honestly can't tell. I think Croatia winning the World Cup would be amazing for Modric, but I need Messi to win this World Cup, especially. I don't know. I've been hurt by Ronaldo. I wanted Portugal to do well still, but I think Messi deserves this World Cup, and he can be looked at as the greatest of all time, which I've been saying for years. Never changed my mind.
Yeah, I think the best thing about the Argentina-Croatia game is that you've got the 2018 Golden Ball winner up against the 2014 Golden Ball winner. So I think I think whoever goes through from that will win the Golden Ball easily. Whether they can beat France, I don't know, but it's going to be a really tasty, mouth-watering encounters. So, bring on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to go head straight to the pub after work 2 days in a row, but I think...
Well, look at you.
I'm watching it at home. I was just saying it to be cool. But yeah, hopefully Argentina win. But I think France are going to win. We'll have to see though. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. There's 3 games left of this World Cup, and we still can't tell you who's gonna win definitively.
You missed out the third place playoff.
Oh yeah, sorry. The third place player. You know, what
Four
I
games.
thought
Four
England.
games.
I was thinking, oh, England win, and then maybe they could get the third place medal. But no,
Yeah.
to, to lose to France, heartbreak, honestly. But this World
Not
Cup,
getting
this
third place, fourth place, back to back. No, thank you.
that's true. But this World Cup, honestly, is gonna go down as one of the most entertaining. So I think that's everything. Unless you got anything else to add.
No, I mean, yeah, you make a really good point at the end. It will definitely go down as one of, you know, arguably on the pitch, definitely one of the most memorable World Cups that of recent memory because, you know, you look at 2010, you look at 2014, you can argue that maybe 2014 there weren't that many shocks, there weren't that many, you know, major stories. Yes, you saw some breakout players. You saw the likes of David Luiz playing for his country, James Rodriguez bursting onto the scene, you know, and then 2018 Croatia from out of nowhere obviously had the emergence of England after so many dormant years of going out in the groups, going out to weaker sides. But in this tournament, you've had Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. You've had Japan beating Germany and Spain to top their group, which nobody saw coming.
No.
You've seen Morocco as the first ever African semi-finalist, and you know there's just been so many, again on the pitch. There's been so many memorable things about the World Cup this edition, and I think it's almost brought the possibility of more Winter World Cups. I don't agree with that. I think having the World Cup in between a season isn't the right thing to do. But you know, it's proved to be a success. You know, maybe not the country that it's been hosted in, but I think the idea of a Winter World Cup isn't out of the question in future, you know, editions. What I will say is that you know the World Cup having 48 potential members in the next one, it's not on. You know, more football. There's less. I think there's only one extra game per team should they make the final.
Yeah.
There being 2 in the groups and then one more knockout. I just 48 teams. It's a lot of football.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost too much. You know, even during like massive games, I've almost been kind of fading out of it a bit. So
Yeah, no, there's been a lot. There's been a lot, and I think the only positive from this is it gives more chances to smaller teams to making the World Cup. Like, I don't know, more African nations, maybe some Southeast Asian nations that wouldn't qualify. But you know, for all the people who can, the jobless people, watch every single game, or the students or young people, whatever. Like I think we both used to do it when we were younger. You try to watch every single game. You can't do that. If there's 48 teams, like you said, I'm getting tired.
100 plus games.
Exactly. I was getting tired. Like, it's slowing down now, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a lot of football. But, you know, for FIFA, they just see the dollar signs. They'll go into it. No issues.
I think, you know, you made a really good point about a lot of more teams coming into it, you know, smaller nations. But, you know, if you think about it, you know, so the World Cup's next in USA, Mexico, and Canada co-hosting. So you're going to have lots of smaller CONCACAF nations, getting through qualification. You're going to have, you know, a lot of sides that don't usually get into World Cups, and I think the problem with that is that it just brings a lot less quality. Yeah, now, yes, obviously we've seen Saudi Arabia beat Argentina and all these great shocks, but on paper, you know, do we really want more teams like Canada? Do we really want more teams like Qatar who are just there to make up the numbers? Not really. You know, you want the World Cups where you see the best of the best, and I don't think we get that through an expanded World Cup. I think the system is fine as it is. Maybe the Winter World Cup hasn't helped in terms of the quality, lots of injuries in the build-up, and just a really kind of rushed season following lots of disruption as it was anyway, like with last season. And yeah, like, you know, you got to take care of the players' well-being, their fitness, their injury record and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's my sixth sense.
I mean, we'll see. I as a Malaysian, if we qualify, I'm gassed. But from from a journalist and just a neutral football fan point of view, I don't think it'll be good. Like you said, lack of quality, and the thing is as well, they want to do groups of 3. I hope they scrap it and do groups of 4. There are 48 teams. There's no need to do groups of 3. You can have 12 groups of 4. You can have that extra round, fine, if you want more TV revenue or whatever it is. But yeah, it's going to be quite complicated for that next World Cup anyway, with all the traveling and stuff and across 3 countries. But we'll see that when it comes to it. If this podcast is still going, then I'll get you back on. We'll talk about it in 4 years.
With you from 4 years ago, when I'm 26 with a beard, probably 2 kids.
2 kids? Didier and Frank. Oh, it is. But thanks for coming on, Charlie. Thanks for filling in for my bummy co-host who's out and he couldn't set some time aside. Everyone send him a beat. No, I'm kidding.
Been a pleasure. Hopefully my Who Scored knowledge has brought something to the table.
Yes, everyone go read his articles on whoscored.com. But thanks for coming again, Charlie. Everyone follow, like, subscribe, comment, download, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one in a bit.